Hello, my name is Eric Clifton with the Fort Belknap Living History Association. Today I'm representing a corporal in the United States 5th Infantry Regiment that would have been stationed at Fort Belknap, Texas from 1851 to 1855. If you watch the Fort Belknap videos that Jim Hammond has been doing on the Facebook page, he does mention that during this period that the 5th Infantry, as they were here on the frontier, they were really ill-suited to fight the Comanche Indians who were mounted on horseback. Part of the reason was that infantry moves on foot, and the rifles that they use, such as this one, the 1847 Springfield, were actually a little slow to reload. The Indians could actually reload and shoot a lot faster. So what Jim had asked that I do is do a demonstration of how to load and fire the 1847 Springfield. I'm going to do that in just a moment. I want to give you a little background on the rifle and some of the things that they were using on the prairie at the time and why it was kind of ill-suited. First off, this rifle, the 1847 Springfield, is a smoothbore musket. It's a 69 caliber musket, and it usually fires a 69 caliber round ball. It could also fire a buckshot load, or a combination of those, which is called buck and ball, which usually had about a 50 caliber round ball seated on top of 3 buckshot balls. This would give you 4 projectiles, leaving the barrel in a higher hit probability. Those would all be packaged into a paper cartridge, stored in a container such as this, called the cartridge box. It would look very similar to this, except for the rounds would be on top of the paper here. So the powder's at the bottom. I'm sorry, the projectile would be here. The powder's in this portion. And what you would do when you went to load this, you would put this in your teeth and tear, dump this down the barrel, and seat the paper and all right down the barrel and ram it down with the ramrod. Then you would also load the top of the rifle here, this back in. On the percussion cone, you would cock it to half cock. You have to put one of these on. This is a percussion cap. These musket caps would go right onto this cone. And then at that point, you could full cock the rifle, aim, and fire. And a soldier would have to do that with all this gear on. And a well-trained soldier could do that in about 20 seconds. They should be able to get off 3 shots a minute. The dragoons, as he mentioned, were horse-mounted soldiers, but they were carrying a very similar weapon. This one is the 1847 Musketoon. Still made by Springfield. It's the same lock assembly, but a much shorter barrel, if you'll notice. Also, the ramrod on this one stays with the rifle. That way they could reload on horseback and not worry about dropping the ramrod. The same process, you would tear the charge, load it down the barrel, ram it home, come back, reseat the ramrod, same percussion cap and half-lock system, ready, aim, and fire. It would also come with this strap that would be worn across the chest so that the rifle would stay with you at all times. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do a demonstration of how to load and fire the rifle, and we'll talk about the 10-step loading procedure. The first thing a soldier would do, usually from shoulder arm, would be the command load. And this is how they would drill through this, because there were times where soldiers, in the excitement of battle, would forget some of these steps. So this is something that drilled on all the time. One of the most common functions of a soldier in the frontier, if they weren't building things and they weren't fighting Indians, they were drilling, which drilling was most of what they did. So the drill procedure walks them first through a 10-step process to get these things down so that they're habit. Even into the Civil War, they would find rifles like this, the 55s or 61s, where soldiers had gotten in a rush and forgotten some of the process. For instance, they would get to the point to cap the cone and forget to put a cap on here. And in the heat of battle, when you cock this and fire it, you don't know if your rifle went off or if it's the guy next to you. You're half deaf from all the explosions going on. So they didn't know that the rifle didn't load. So they would drop back down, reload, come up, and now they've got 2 charges in the breech here. And they found rifles at Gettysburg and some of the other battles that would have 5, 6, or 7 charges in it that were never fired. So this drill procedure is something that they drilled on all the time to hopefully make a habit. So this is how the procedure goes. They would drop to the load position, and with this rifle, you want to drop it with the ramrod facing towards you. They would take a step and kind of put their foot 45 degrees and bring the rifle across their body this way. these 47s were a little longer rifle. You can see how tall it comes up to. 55s and 61s were a little shorter, so they would put the rifle straight in front like this. So for the 47, you would cock it at a 45. The next command was handle cartridge. Which would be to grab a cartridge out of the cartridge box. Command 3 is to tear cartridge. You would put it in your mouth, tear the paper off. Command 4 is charge cartridge. You would pour it over, keeping your. The reason for that is, if there's an ember glowing in the barrel and it could ignite the powder as you're loading a secondary charge, if that ignites, it's going to blow your thumb and forefinger out of the way, or if anything, just damage those fingers and not the rest. If you have your hand over the muzzle, you could lose your entire hand. So you would charge cartridge. Then the next command after that is to draw a rammer, where you would draw the ramrod, flip it over and insert it into the barrel. Next command is ram cartridge, so you would ram it down and pump it twice. Return rammer is the next command. After that, the command is cast about, which means to turn about, bring the rifle up, and half cock it. The next command from there is prime. You would flick off the old percussion cap, reach into your cap pouch, grab a new one, put it on the cone. And then from here, it's ready, aim, fire. So if you're in the heat of battle, there was no command to ready, aim, or fire. You would just cock it all the way for the ready, aim, and then you would fire, shoot the round. And then if it's a fire at will situation, you just repeat that procedure. Step forward, come across, and reload the weapon the same way. So I'm going to give you a live demonstration of that so you can see exactly how quick it can be done and how much time it takes to do that. Now imagine that, doing all of that, and you've got to get that done in 20 seconds. That's moving pretty quick. So if you've got a Comanche on horseback charging at you from 100 yards away, he's probably going to close that gap in less than a minute. The only advantage that these soldiers had at that time was numbers. Even if the Comanches weren't a large band, they knew that all these soldiers weren't going to be firing at exactly the same moment. They could fire at different intervals. So just because one soldier was reloading, another one could be firing. So that was usually enough to keep them at bay. 2, they knew they were on horseback. They knew they could outrun the soldiers. Most of the time, they wouldn't even bother engaging them. They would go around them or not even bother fighting with them. They would just run off because the soldiers weren't going to be able to catch them anyway. So very few battles actually even happen with Indians like this on the frontier. But the problem with it was them being mounted is it took the infantry a while to catch on to that. All the Indian battles that had happened up to that point, things like the Seminole War, the Creek War, the Northwest Indian Territory Wars, they had all been fighting Indians that were on foot. So infantry was well suited for those battles. In fact, the 5th Infantry, when they leave Fort Belknap in 1855, they go east of Florida to fight in what would be the 3rd Seminole War. So they're going back to fighting Indians that are much more their speed. And then as Jim mentions, in 1855, the 2nd Cavalry comes in, and now we have truly mounted troops that can match the Comanches toe-to-toe. But it's something that Washington hadn't seen before. They hadn't seen Indians on horseback, and at first they couldn't really believe that they were that much of a force. They couldn't understand, they couldn't wrap their mind around the concept that there was an Indian tribe out there that made the horse their entire center of their civilization. Everything about them, they were expert horsemen. As Jim says, they're probably the greatest light cavalry to ever exist. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a demonstration, and then we'll go from there. Well, folks, there you have it. That's what it takes to load and fire the 1847 Springfield smoothbore musket. That felt a little slow to me. I'm not going to lie. I don't practice with this thing the way those guys did in 1851. So it felt probably around the minute 20 range. I fumble with the musket caps quite a bit, so there's some cleanup I could do with my drill. So those guys, they would have had it down well within a minute. That's something that they would drill on daily. Some of those guys could even fire 4 shots in a minute. So reloading in 15 seconds seems like an almost impossible task. But that, again, gives you an idea of what it takes to load and fire this musket and how ineffective this really would have been should there ever actually had been an engagement between infantry and Comanche forces. Again, come check us out on Facebook at Fort Belknap Living History Association, where we, the Living History Association, support Fort Belknap in their historical endeavors. We actually man the cannon that Fort Belknap owns, the 1841 field gun, the 6-pounder, known as the Doctrine. We also represent both the 5th Infantry period and the 2nd Cavalry period, and civilian impressions as well. So check us out at Fort Belknap Living History Association on Facebook, and also check out the Fort Belknap Facebook page. Jim Hammond, the director of the fort, has been doing some great videos out there. Again, he's the one who asked me to do this. Some of those videos cover the different time periods of the fort, through the infantry period, the cavalry period, and then the Civil War period, where it was more manned by Texas Rangers and Confederate troops, and then the reoccupation, even the upper Brazos Indian Reservation that was near the fort. So part of the reason the fort existed was to help protect the Indians on that reservation and kind of help keep peace between the settlers and Indians. And Jim's got some great stories to tell about that too. So go check him out at Fort Belknap on Facebook. And again, you can also check us out at Fort Belknap Living History Association on Facebook, or on our YouTube channel, Fort Belknap LHA. Remember to like and share, and go ahead and click that notification button. Thank you very much. Have a great day.